Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And today we're going to start on part 3 of the go-kart build. I've got a few more pieces cleaned up and ready to go. I did some changing on the steering column. I'll show you that. So I just got finished painting the wheels, and I'm gonna tell you, man, that was a job, and it's still a job. I'm not done yet. I've still got 2 more pieces to do. But these 2 front ones, I'm gonna tell you, man, they really turned out nice. They look real smooth, glossy. They look factory. The only thing I should have done different was mask off the grease fittings, but oh well. That's just a little attention to touch, attention to detail. But anyway, I bead blasted these 4 here, and I tried to bead blast this one. These are the 2 rear ones, and these are the 2 rear ones, and these are all the front ones. These, when I sandblasted them first. Man, I'm gonna tell you, it was really sweet getting that paint off of it. Apparently there's a different, this is probably a powder coat or something, or some kind of freaking electrolysis or whatever, however that shit works. But I'm having a devil of a time getting these things down to where I can paint them and make them look like that, man. Because, you got to do a good job, man. So, I finally gave up on the bead blaster because this one here I bead blasted and I couldn't get it all off. The only place I can get it off was where the rust was. I didn't need to get it off there, it was already off. And that bead blaster is not impressive to me. I've got several problems going on with that bead blaster, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's show you what we did. So I've got my cable in here and my brake. It's just sitting there. It's not tightened down. I just got it sitting there so it would dry. It's dry now. Cleaned it up, painted it, and used gray for that. I'm trying to mix up the gray and the black so it kind of pops. It looks more like a racing one than something just slapped together with one paint. Then that piece that I put in there worked. This is not in yet. I can slide that clear out. But I made this cable right here out of a Big Bear brake cable, and I just cut it off right here because it did go out here and then it elbowed, and I got rid of that. And then I cut the elbow off of it and had about that much round surface, and that's hardened because it's a press. It's a hardened metal, so it was nice and smooth. So I decided to turn. I didn't tighten it down. Let me put you back on the tripod here. So I'll take this out and I'll show you what I did. I didn't like the other way, so I decided to. Now you gotta pull this out. Be careful, man, when you pull this out and put it in. Make sure you hit the hole that you're aiming for, because it's very easy to pop one of these little wires out and you can't never get them back right. And once you go to try to push it in, it'll just start twisting it up. So just be careful when you do that not to damage that end. If you do start damaging it, cut it back some. Use a grinder and put it up in your vise and put your grinder wheel right next to your vise and just cut a nice smooth cut. So anyway, we'll set that aside. So I made this collar and I threaded it for 5/16 18, I think. Yeah. And I had a nice nut that I found in my scrap pile and cleaned it up on the wire wheel. Hell, it looks like a brand new one, don't it? Then I drilled a hole in it. So now this ain't going to come out, and this is pressed in it. I had to use the press to press that in. So it ain't coming out there. So then that goes into the bracket. Boy, I've been having a hard time with my nuts here lately. Not getting them threaded on correct. The last video I fumbled with the steering wheel frickin' thing. But anyway, so then what I did was I made this collar right here. I don't know if you guys are in frame or not. Yeah, it is. So I made this, or sleeve, or whatever you want to call it, and drilled a hole in the center for this to go in, because I can't get this inside there. Once I cut it, there's no getting this in there. So I took this and made that to fit in there, and that's in the center. Then you'll take your cable, and this is where you be really careful not to damage the end of it. Alright, then it will go in here and then come out the other side. So it'll come in here, and then it'll go in here, and then for right now I'm just pushing it down to get it all the way down, because I'm not ready to commit to that yet, so I'm leaving it alone until I'm ready to commit. I'm probably going to make my own clamp, turn one on the lathe and do my own clamp, because I want it. It's going to be hard enough to get to this nut to tighten it up. Well, I can put a box end on it and then put a open end on this side. But anyway, I'll just make a round one and thread it all the way through it, and then drill a hole in the center for this to go into, put it in there, and then get that to where you want it, and then tighten the set screw from here down. It had a little screw, and that something looks bent there. Is my rod bent, or is this bracket bent? There we go, nice and straight. But I think that'll work just fine. So now you can see that it goes in there. It's trapped and it ain't coming out of there. Otherwise I would have had to buy this whole thing, and I wasn't going to do that. Not because of something that simple. There's always a way to skin a cat. Not that I go skinning cats or nothing. So then get this thing level. So then I went and cleaned up the brake drum and the gear and the spacer or bearing housing. Now all I gotta do is put my bearing in it. This is the one that it had in it, and it's got a hole in it, but I don't think it's big enough. For this cable. By God, it is. Alright, let me clean that up and we'll be back. Alright guys, so now we've got our cable stop or holder. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and put this on the line. It's tight. Brakes are working. The throttle's working. Springs back. And now let's show you what I did to the steering. Before, when I did it in the last video, I had both of these in here. I had this one on top where this bushing's at, and I had this one where this one's at right now. Well, the reason it would steer sharper one way than it would steer sharper this way than it would that way. And the reason for that is because these things here, these brackets, if you see, they're offset. It starts off here and then it drops down and comes in, and that allows a clearance for these. That's why they turn these down like that, and it allows a clearance. And this one here was hitting right there before it got all the way turned. So you was only going to be able to turn half of what you should have been able to turn. So I redid it and put this one down because I wanted this was up too far. This one was up too far at an angle. Right now it's straight across. But it looks like it's in perfect orientation now. They're going straight across. This one's just a slight bit down, But that's as simple as taking that bushing out and changing it to a smaller one to bring it up a little bit more. But you're not changing nothing, so it's pointless to go do that. When what's there works just fine. It's not hitting nothing until it gets down to where it hits that, because that is the stop. And that's the stop. So you got, these here are acting as stops. So now it's got equal turn from left to right. And the amazing thing is it's got grease fittings on just about everything. The only thing that don't have grease fittings on it, and I probably could have put grease fittings in it, but this will outlast whoever's riding it, because I tell you, I guarantee you this thing will be beat up and tore up in a month's time. So now we've got the brakes done. That just about does it. I think I'm about ready to have some more truck coffee. This is going to be a sharp looking little go-kart. Still got to put the pan in it and do the seat. And I guess the seat's going to be next. So, because the only other thing is the two wheels, getting them cleaned up. They're a pain in the ass to clean up. But the problem I'm having with my bead blaster is the fact that it's got plexiglass in it. Let me show you that. Yeah, that thing pissed me off. We got a bunny rabbit out there in front of my truck. This stuff right here is about worthless as a tits on a boar hog. Right here, you see that little gap? It didn't stick. And I cleaned this with Windex and let it dry and everything. Cleaned it up and went to stick this stuff on there. And this happens every time. This just happens to be at this spot. It could be another spot or a corner or something like that the next time. And I went through 5 of those since I got this. And I haven't had this thing for more than a year. And I don't bead blast that much. So it's using them up, and it's allowing sand to blow up in here, and it gets all that inside there dusty. And you can't get it out without taking it off. Once you take it off, your sticky tape is done. What I was hoping this was if I'd have known this had stick tape on it like that, I wouldn't have bought it, because I knew that was going to be a bad disaster. What it needs is NASCAR windshield tear-offs. I think those things come in sheets of however many you ask for. I guess that's what I'm thinking. And get those ones that you just peel the first one off, and then you're good to go again. Then when that one gets bad, peel the second one off. And it's adhesive the whole thing. And I'd like to find some of that. If anybody, any of these bison guys out here want or know where I can get that stuff, let me know. It would be greatly appreciated. But I've been fighting with that thing all day, and I finally gave up and decided that I was using this grinder cookie to clean them up, because it's doing okay. Then I gotta sand them after I do use this. It's more of a pain in the butt than it is to just put it in the bead blaster and use it, but this paint is, I don't know what kind of paint it is, man, but even the bead blaster has a hard time getting it off. Of course, that thing's not working at its maximum efficiency anyway. Uh, it's too small a cabinet. And the hoses are all tangled up. I mean, they're all tightly bent. You have to in order to use your trigger. There's just not a whole lot of room to work in there. And that sand, it needs a straighter shot than that. Uh, it should come straight up and drape down and go underneath. That way it's kind of more of a straight shot. Right now it comes in from the back and comes in, and then it got to do that 90-degree bend or 180-degree bend, and it takes something to get that sand to go through an 180 degree, or 180-degree bend. I'm probably still wrong about the number. Anyway, I'm getting off subject, but we're still waiting for tires. I had to buy another set. I decided to just go ahead and keep these, and I went ahead and bought a set with my own money to give him for the other two. So basically I just bought me a set in case I need it. Never know. Or I might be a nice guy and just let him have all of them and be done with it. He'll have 2 spares. He won't have 2 spare tubes, but he'll have 2 spare tires because 2 of the tubes I got to use in the front. So, and it'll have all new tires all the way around it. I hope these kids respect this thing, man, and treat it nice. It's hard to find a kid, especially in West Virginia. Those damn rednecks, man. I know, because I'm one of them. But I don't tear up my stuff. I've seen people cripple their stuff home and then ride it again. And then they work on it some more. Ride it again. Work on it some more. Ride it again. Sometimes they're working on it while they're riding it. Anyway, don't forget to have your Trump coffee. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Swat a gnat. Y'all have a good one. Later.